Alrighty. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. This is J. Jesse Harper, and here is another topical depression. And today's topic, pray. I watched this movie last night, and I've been thinking about it for a while now. Hmm. First and foremost, I saw a lot of reviews before I watched it. I saw different people's opinions. Obviously, I saw the trailer before I sat down and watched it, and there's it's pretty much a mixed bag. I don't think I've seen too many people just out and out hating it. Um, Really, if you to be quite honest, if you're in either extreme, whether you really, really love it or really, really hate it, I feel like you're disingenuous. I mean, let me finish this. Generally speaking, from what I gather from what people have said or the different opinions that they have put out there, it seems like there is a consensus that generally speaking, it's a decent to good film. It's not bad, but it's not the greatest thing ever made. Now, again, there have been multiple extremes from the opinions that I've seen, whether it is people who just straight up down hate it because they feel like it is just another installment in this whole woke narrative that we've been seeing for the last few years. Some people have gone so far as to say it is just as good as the original Predator, which that's just not true. I mean, I'm sorry, that's just not true. Neither side is actually accurate. It's not horrible, nor is it all that woke. Actually, um, it's actually a lot less woke than I thought. And I think, generally speaking, if you're being honest with yourself, you, you'd have that opinion. I mean, generally speaking, um, when you have these woke narratives, like for example, if you compare it to Ghostbusters 2016, where literally every man that you put on screen is an idiot. They are very, very vain. They are very dismissive of anything, generally speaking, female, but generally speaking, anything that doesn't just 100% agree with them, they're just very dismissive. Um, and they're very um, weak on agency. And by that I mean they just don't seem to have any sort of agenda or plan that they need to establish or fix. It's like they're just NPCs in a video game. They have a set function and they run through that function whether you get involved or not. That is not prey. There are many men in this that you could describe that way, specifically the white men. Every white man in that film, you can definitely hold today. Even the one that seemed generally nice, he had an agenda, generally speaking, which you can't say for most. But he had something that he was trying to accomplish, which is the only reason why he was being nice. Outside of that, they were generally speaking cavemen that spoke French. They were guttural. They almost look like, when I remember the first scene that I saw them, they were moving up to the main character in her cage. It reminded me of Lord of the Rings when when the orcs were like shuffling up to Frodo and trying to take all his stuff. He had Sting and his mithril shirt and everything. They were just kind of shuffling up, looking like Cro-Magnon men. Like, and that's basically what they had there. Um, but again, outside of that, the Comanche men, except for one or two that seem to be a part of the patriarchy. We gotta get rid of that little element. We gotta show that they are flawed in their views. But outside of that, generally speaking, the men weren't dismissive of women just because of women. They were women. They were dismissive of the character because of what we had been seen and shown up to that point. She is very headstrong and she is very, very, very full of herself, which is also part of that woke narrative. But outside of that, that's really it. I mean, like, generally speaking, the story wasn't bad, but there wasn't a whole lot to it, which I think worked in its favor. There wasn't a whole lot of bells and whistles. There wasn't extra stuff. Like in the first two Predator movies, there is something else outside of the Predator. Like in the first Predator, they were going to a place to I believe it was a senator, or maybe not a senator. If somebody was captured and they were sent behind enemy lines to go grab them. And then in the second one, it was the police, and they were trying to shut down all these gangs, these drug cartels. There were a number of different factions, basically turning LA into a war zone, and that's what they were focused on, is trying to reestablish control of LA. But in this one, there wasn't outside forces, there wasn't extra stuff. Even the white guys that they showed, it wasn't like they were doing something else and they just came across a predator. It's shown that they were trying to hunt down the predator, just like the main character. I believe her name is Naru, which I don't even know if that's a Comanche name. That sounds like something from Zelda. But Naru, I think, is her name, and they have the same determination to take out the predator, just like her. But again, outside of that, there wasn't a whole lot of um extra stuff that would bog down the story, or take you away from the fact that this killing machine does what it does. It gets sent off to Earth. Seems like it's a rite of passage, or just something they like to do, like maybe it's a vacation thing. I don't they never really explain the predators, which that also was a good thing for this particular movie. All the other sequels outside of the first two keep trying to give us explanations for the predator. We don't need explanations. That's the great thing about the predator. We can't fully understand what this creature is outside that it wants to kill. So you have these two factions that discover this creature and want to destroy this creature. The one that I guess we're supposed to consider as our hero, the Comanche woman, and this group of, it looks like French fur traders or trappers or something like that. And that's another part of this too, where this isn't modern day or a little bit further in the future or anything like that, like the normal Predator sequels like to do. This was more, what was it, 17 something, like 1719, I think so, early 18th century. um and I think all that works for the movie. Like, generally speaking, I didn't think it was a movie that um understood, not necessarily, I don't even put it that way. I think they understood the predator enough, because the visuals and what we see on screen is great. The predator looked different. I couldn't really quite place what it is. He almost looks de-evolved, if that's like, he doesn't, like in the other Predator movies, he has more of a face. I mean, he's got those weird insect bits on his face that kind of open up into that weird, disgusting trap door thing. And he's got these weird dreadlocks coming off of him and stuff. But generally speaking, you could tell where there was a face. There was the semblance of a nose. There was definitely two eyes. He was humanoid, with a head, two arms, a torso, two legs. But this one, the face just looked off to me. It looked different. But again, I think all these things, helped with it, helped with the movie. It added a layer of mystery. So let's get to exactly how I felt. At first, I wasn't gonna watch this movie because I'm kind of done with Predator sequel. I'm kind of done with sequels in general. I don't like this idea that we gotta sequel something into oblivion, or we have to remake and all this other stuff. There's enough good ideas out there. We don't have to do all that. So I was kind of just allowing, or going to allow, all the other people to watch, review, comment, make videos like this one or something like that and talk about it. Me, for instance, though, I can't. I couldn't. I couldn't just stop because the stories and things that people were saying, like I said, generally speaking, you did get a bit of a mixed bag. Like you got all the different opinions and ideas of where it should have or how they should rank it versus the other Predator movies, whether they thought it was good, bad, indifferent to it, all that stuff. And so you got a nice little mix. You can basically find anybody who feels any particular way that you want. If you want to increase your echo chamber, you can definitely find somebody when it comes to this movie. But generally speaking, I think what I saw was, good to really good reviews. Like generally speaking, it they people tended to like it. Um, I didn't hate it. I liked parts of it. Um, Generally speaking, though, if I would have to say, was it woke? Yes. And if you took the wokeness out of it, would it have been better? Definitely. In fact, if and you don't even have to change the characters. Because I was thinking this while I was watching. There's a character in there that's her brother. He's the perfect character to make this work. I don't even understand why he wrote a character like this and put him side by side with the characters you want us to think is your hero. Um, he was stronger, more. He was wiser. There's a point in the beginning, right after we meet the hero and we know that she wants to be a hunter and we see what she's practicing and all this other stuff, and there's a scene where they're talking and she's aiming her bow at a hawk that's in the sky, trying to shoot it down, and he's trying to tell her a story about the first time their father took them out for a hunt, and the entire time she's just ignoring him, even feigning falling asleep, like as if what his words or his experiences just have nothing for her. So to prove to her that he has something to say and she should listen, without barely even looking, he shoots the bird that she had been the entire time trying to track and get the arrow right. And of course, she didn't say thank you or show off or can you show me that or anything like that. She says, I was waiting for it to turn around. As if your brother messed up something that he clearly showed you could have done easily. But because of your experiences, you don't know. And therein lies a problem with this movie, with my big problem with the movie. The main character, I have no problem believing that she's smart. I have no problem believing that she is capable, nor do I have any problem believing that she's headstrong and determined enough to get all this stuff done. The problem is at the beginning, you show us that she isn't experienced, that she has a lot to learn. And instead of actually giving her that chance to learn and get better, it's like it goes from, and to be fair, they do give you scenes where she messes up. She's not a general, what do they call them, type A, where these all-powerful Wonder Women that can do no wrong. They're stronger than everybody, they're braver than everybody, they have the perfect life, and they should be put on a pedestal and try to be emulated, not try to educate them. Um, That is just patently false. Just patently false. Now, granted, like I said, I have no problems believing that she has value, not only just to their tribe, but to the hunting parties and stuff like that. In fact, her brother says it on numerous occasions that you're smart and you can see things. Your problem is you don't see everything, and you're not. Experience matters. Like, no matter how good, if I was a good shot, for example, like there's those naturals that just they don't have to be taught how to pick up a gun. They just take to it. They're just good at it. And I could be one of those people. You just put any gun in my hand and I shoot amazingly right off the bat. That doesn't mean I'm the perfect soldier. It doesn't mean I don't need to train or there's things that I don't need to learn or practice or just straight up and down no. And therein lies the problem here is that there's no buildup in that way. In fact, her dog saves her life on numerous occasions. Like without that dog, she should have died 5, maybe 6 times in different areas of the movie. And to be fair, they do acknowledge this. She seems to be well aware of this. There's a point where they basically have gotten away. The predator is just like laying waste to all the white guys, and they were tied up on a tree, but they were able to get away. And all they need to do is get some horses and then go. But she goes back for the dog. Now, some might think that's just 21st century, mentality. You can't show a movie with an animal like that and you just abandon said animal. Sure, sure, but I like to believe that she actually understands that she is helpless without that dog. Now she won't say that, obviously. In fact, there's a whole nother scene where she throws this huge long speech about how she's great and wonderful, and the fact that people, miss what is the word I'm looking for? They underestimate her. That that in turn is why they will always lose to her. But you you showed us in the first like 40 minutes that she is not perfect. She's not perfect in any way, shape, or form. Now, as far as how I feel about the movie overall, I guess it's okay. It's okay. I see many different ways where it could be better, just wholly better, 1,000 times better. It's not horrible. It's not irredeemably bad. Um, in fact, I like that idea. The way they had it set up. Now, even like I said, the Predator looked off to me. Um, it wasn't using uh particle weapons, no beam weapons, nothing like that. It had a shield, which kind of looked cool, but at the same time didn't make a whole lot of sense. Um, but at the same time, like I said, generally speaking, I like the visuals. It was like for me, it was like that last Batman with the Twilight dude, Robert Pattinson in it. I generally speaking, there are things that you could fix in that movie, but I liked it. I liked it. And generally speaking, with Prey, I mean, there's a lot that you need to fix. I think that it is woke. It's not as woke as I thought it was gonna be, but it is woke, and there's some cringy parts there. But generally speaking, I feel hopeful, not just for, the Predator series. Actually, I hope this is the last one. Yeah, because I come up with something new. Like as I said at the beginning, like don't just keep sequeling, franchises. I don't know how many Freddy Kruegers are out there, but it's too many. I don't know how many Jasons that are out there, but it's too many. Like come up with something new. But generally speaking, I do feel hopeful for Hollywood or just TV and movies in general. If this is a sign of where we're pivoting, I'm fine with it. I'm fine with it. If we had to do baby steps, let's do the baby steps. But like I said, if Ghostbusters 2016 was where we were at the onset, and this is where we're at now, hopefully in another couple of years, this stuff will be back to normal, and people will actually tell stories without worrying about how many black people are in it, how many Latino people are in it, or how many Asians are in it, or how many women are in it, or how many gay people are in it, or how many bisexuals are in it, or whether the character looks like this, or does this, or says this. You just tell a story. Whoever wrote this, they showed that they have the ability to write a good story. It's just the wokeness got in the way. That's the only thing. In fact, I said it on many occasions after the end, if there was nothing said at all, like, literally, if there was no dialogue at all, this actually would have been a great movie. It actually would have been a great movie. Part of what was jarring was the dialogue. Now, I haven't watched the Comanche version. Apparently, there's a version where the Native Americans, speak Comanche, instead of English. But, for me, watching every time they did speak English, I couldn't see this as 1719 because they sounded like they were right out of 2022. They all had American accents, and some of them tried to give some sort of I guess, an effect of a Native American accent. I would be lying if I said I knew what that sounded like outside of movies and stuff like that, and it felt like there's a few that were given that, but the brother and the sister was basically the 2 main people. They didn't have accents, unless you count, an American accent, which they're not supposed to. They're not supposed to have those accents at all, but it wasn't even just the accents. It was literally what they were saying. Like, the brother said the whole Arnold line, "If it bleeds, it can kill it," which, wha okay, I don't you have no reason to say that, but he said it, and I'm pretty sure there's a lot of people that just passed out from just sheer ecstasy because of it. But there's a lot. I mean, like, literally, the lead, every time she spoke, I almost audibly sighed because it was just so cringy. The stuff that they gave her to say. Like I said, maybe it sounds better than the Comanche, but me personally, I think if there was no dialogue, like literally no dialogue. If you want to have like a little back and forth when the French fur traders captured, is it Nauru? I think it is Nauru. I'm gonna go ahead and keep saying Nauru. When they captured her and they had one Frenchman who spoke their language, so they spoke. All the other French people spoke French. They don't speak a lick of English, which I always love. And I probably will watch the Comanche version because I've always been a proponent that when you write a story and wherever you set it in, put it in that language. If it's set in France, they should speak French. Subtitles are fine. Subtitles are fine. Like, if it has to be in English, set it in a country where they speak English. Otherwise, seriously, at this point in this day and era, well, you mean to tell me with all the representation that they got out there, you can't find people who speak the languages that you need? Everybody has to sound like they're from Fresno, California. That's dumb. No, but at the same time, like I said, with this, it wasn't just that jarringness of the non-realism. I think with whatever they wrote, if they were just focusing on what the character was doing, it was good. Now the action was a bit off too, and that's the one last point that I'm gonna say. I'm gonna be done with it. Ladies and gentlemen, parkour is a fairly new invention. They didn't do parkour in 1790, but she does parkour, and 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 not only does she do parkour, she's a witch. She's a straight up down witch because she affects physics in a way that people should not be able to affect. And the reason why I say that is there's one scene where she was trying to hunt rabbits and she kept missing those rabbits, and showing that she has bad aim. So she goes and she makes a bit of rope so that she can throw it and then yank it back to herself. And yet, that's not how things work. There's no reason why the first time she does that, she shouldn't chop her own arm off or just impale herself or something. Yet every single time it moves like Captain America's shield. It's really crazy faulty physics. On top of that, whenever she runs, I don't care where she's running to. If she's running, she slip like she can make the ground turn into ice and she just slides on down and she bounces off of trees and doesn't lose momentum and she lands on her feet and she don't grunt or grimace or need a roll because if anybody who's ever jumped from any length of height, I don't even care if it's like 4 feet in the air. If you jump a significant amount of distance and then land flat-footed, your feet and ankles sting. Sometimes you just shatter those bad boys right off because your body's not meant to take your falls like that. That's why every time you see people jump off of stuff, they roll because that's the only way you can stop from breaking something in that way. But not her, not her. But granted, it's only a little bit of girl power wokeness that I really saw. It was really only with her, which granted that seemed to be what the whole thing was about anyway. That's why every other female in the tribe, you know, did what you normally expect a hunter-gatherer society to do. But for some reason she felt like she needed to be different, which that's the woke agenda. But outside of that, um, Like I said, I think I could take an editor and with a couple of hours, we could fix it. But generally speaking, if this is where the woke narrative is going, it's not too bad. Thank you for your time, ladies and gentlemen. I hope everybody has a wonderful, wonderful Monday.